Today is day 311 of the year of streaming and learning to code. We are continuing on with project number 5, the random user generator. We were able to piece together some more of the, we'll call it the div structure in our HTML, or the divs needed for our HTML to receive all the info from our API and just the Ajax nightmare that we are going to be faced with, which is what we will be tackling tonight. So, and I think Topher said we were looking for a document yesterday. It was like getting started with something. I believe Topher mentioned it was getting started with Ajax. MDN Ajax. That would have, yeah, getting started. That's us. Right there. Look at that. Perfect. This was the link that we couldn't find yesterday. Hey there, little kitty. How are you doing? Doing good? Yeah, you're doing good. All right. No, that was a free scratch because I love you. That was not, I was not trying to commence scratch time, snuggle time for me and you right now. Why are you always so interested in scratches and snuggling right at the start of the stream? Look, just find your napping spot. No. Look, we will assume the napping position on the bed. 1, 2, 3, team effort. You know the routine. There. Okay. Did she shimmy the mic mostly? No, nothing too crazy. She's a cat. What are we looking for? Getting started with stuff. Is there anything? Oh, okay, we need a couple things. First, we need our example, or the example project. This is what we're following. Random user generator. We can create a random user via each of these buttons down here, and our current project, as it stands, is this beast right here. Ta-da! Dee and view. Developer console. Cool. Okay, so getting started. We'll shimmy that over. Project stuff once more, just as a brief run through. As we're, I feel like this Ajax section is going to be a substantial undertaking. Maybe it won't be, but I think it's going to be. So with that said, quick once over once more. You'll use asynchronous JavaScript and XML Ajax to access an API endpoint and parse the response. Since there are multiple methods, you will gain experience with Ajax via the XML HTTP request XHR object, the HTML5 fetch API, Axios, and jQuery. Real-world application wouldn't need every possible Ajax method for requesting data asynchronously, but I think it's important to learn each method and find each of their strengths and downfalls. Great resources, we will need these two links, which we currently have here, Exhibit A and B. Specifications, we already have the 4 buttons we will need. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of them function beautifully. So we get to hook those up as follows, as we saw earlier in the example. That's their ideal functionality in the end that we're hoping for. Fingers crossed we'll get there. So we've got that. When a button is clicked, you will use the specified method for requesting a random user from the following API endpoint. This bit. So this, I think, is what we're going to be either tackling completely tonight, which I sincerely doubt it, or we'll at least start chipping away at that, which is why we have this lovely document for story time, to try and figure out what to do and where to go from here. Anyways, so we've knocked out at least the first section. This is what we're focused on tonight, and last night we sort of set up the div structure as we highlighted before briefly just a moment ago. Upon receiving a response from the API, you will need to parse the JSON data and display the following user information. The style is up to you. Be creative. Yes, we will keep pushing the limits of our CSS skills, but we set up a div for each of these. We may need to do some further divving and dividing things up into different sections to leverage our new flex and maybe even grid, CSS grid skills. I don't think we're going to be utilizing grid in this project, but mostly flex boxes. We're already dabbling with it so far. Anywho, and then extra credit is on the horizon. We'll get there eventually. Good time. So that's what we're up against. That's where we're headed. And yeah, good times. Way cool. All right. So here we will have the following. What do we need to do? Hey, Topher. I don't know how long you've been there. We were kind of ranting for a bit, but hopefully your evening is going well. We are going to kick off with learning about Ajax. What does it mean when you and your Ajax start to change? Sounds like this is going to get messy. This article guides you through the Ajax basics and gives you 2 simple hands-on examples to get you started. Oh, dear Lord. I think our lung is collapsing. We'll use water. Maybe that will remedy the issue. All right. So, I'm sure everyone's wondering, actually probably no one's wondering except for me, what is Ajax? Aside from the villain in Deadpool, Ajax stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. In a nutshell, it is the use of XML HTTP requests, which is a fun link, and we clicked on it, which raises bigger issues. Use XML HTTP requests, objects to interact with servers. You can retrieve data from a URL without having to do a full page refresh. This enables a web page to update just part of a page without disrupting what the user is doing. Oh, neat. You know, we've crossed the Ajax bridge once or twice before over year-long travels, but I mean, at the time, again, fairly basic definition, we could comprehend it, but now it has more meaning as we've been juggling these projects, and all of our learning has been much more hands-on. I was reflecting the other day, this is another tangent, brace yourselves, hopefully we'll keep it short. I was reflecting on what seems like progress from the beginning of my journey. Since we've started chipping away at these awesome projects that Topher hooked us up with. Where to go? GitHub. Little kitty, you are perfectly in the way of everything. Look at this. Wiggly fingers. Chase the fingers. Be cat. Good little kitty. I've noticed in the last month or so with doing these projects, when I run into an issue or a common roadblock, like setting up the HTML or having to set up a click event, that's probably the best example. I'm now referring to tiny cat, no. I'm now referring to my past experiences with these projects as my go-to examples for references. Because before, when I'd run into an issue, like at Free Code Camp or Code Wars, I'd think back to when I first encountered that problem at Code Academy and things like that, which was fine and good in the beginning, but now, oh my god, Kitty, you're just go somewhere less dangerous. Now when I run into an issue, like, hey, how do I set up a click event? I think back to when I was doing one of these previous projects, which I think is kind of cool. I'm reflecting on my own personal experience that I've gained now instead of reflecting back on the tutorial sites. So I think that counts as growth. That's all. In a nutshell, just wanted to highlight that interesting factoid, at least to me. Wanted to throw that out there. Anywho, what are we looking for now? We are indeed looking for... Oh, Ajax. It kicked off a memory. Right. So, back to this noise. All of that stuff, good. Yay, XML. So refresh a tiny section. Little kitty. So, refreshing not the whole page like so. Here's refreshing the whole page. Versus XML HTTP request would be, I literally can't see the buttons. Okay, there's that. Fetch. Refresh is just the window. That last click was little kitty. Look at this, we'll use her toe again. If you want to stand on the trackpad, you're going to click things. That was her again. No. Just move. Why? Let's keep on reading. This is going to take forever. You are not napping on the keyboard. We've gone over this. The keyboard is a cat-free napping zone. Okay. Just back to where we started. Alright, so anyways, in a nutshell, it is the use of XML HTTP request objects to communicate with servers. It can send and receive information in various formats, including JSON, XML, HTML, and text files. Ajax's most appealing characteristics is its asynchronous nature, which means it can communicate with the server, exchange data, and update the page without having to refresh the page. The two major features of Ajax will allow you to do the following: make requests to the server without reloading the page, and receive the work with the data from the server. Okay, step 1. How many steps are there? 1, 2, and 3. Are there more steps? There's 3 notes, which we'll need to read eventually, and there is a step 4 with the 5. Okay, 5 steps. Good. Let's do this. So, step 1. Topher. Dear God, I can't even read it. Topher, I probably would have smacked that cat by now. You're a patient man. She's just so clueless and so curious. It's rampant. It's constantly overflowing. She's oozing with curiosity, and it's extremely troublesome. She is cute, though. Anywho, yeah, no, it's infuriating. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have an aneurysm before the year's out. Step 1. How to make an HTTP request. In order, do I really need to, I feel like I should read all of it, not literally all of this, but maybe I can get the brief highlighted version. Maybe there's a bullet point version of this. We're going to do heavy skimming. That's what we're going to do. Step 1. How to make an HTTP request. In order to make an HTTP request to the server with JavaScript, you need an instance of an object with the necessary functionality. This is where the XML HTTP request comes in. Its predecessor originated in Internet Explorer as an ActiveX object. XML HTTP, then Mozilla, Safari, and other browsers followed, implementing the XML HTTP request object that supported methods and properties of Microsoft's original ActiveX object. Meanwhile, Microsoft implemented XML HTTP requests as well. Okay, so old compatibility code no longer deleted. If blah blah blah. Safari IE7 HTTP request equals new blankety blank. Else if Windows ActiveX object IE6 and older. HTTP request new ActiveX object Microsoft dot blah. Okay, so we do or don't, we probably don't need that. Death. Do we need that? How many people are still running IE6? That can't be pertinent. I want to live dangerously. I want to only use this. Maybe we don't need that. Note, for illustration purposes, maybe all of that's old. Hopefully all of it's old. Note, for illustration purposes, the above is somewhat simplified version of the code to be used for creating an XML HTTP instance. For more realistic examples, see step 3 of this article. We're just going to quickly jump just because we're visual. Okay, so it's a lot bigger, a lot scarier. There's a lot more going on. And yeah, hopefully we don't have to deal with that. So from there, after making a request, you will receive a response back. At this stage, you need to tell the XML HTTP request object which JavaScript function will handle the response by setting the onReady state change. That seems familiar. Again, we've done API Ajax stuff once or twice before. This is all vaguely familiar. Property of the object and naming it after the function. The call when the request changes state like this. HTTP request dot onReady state change equals the name of the function. This seems pretty step 1-ish, right? Left? Damn. No rights, only lefts. Note that there are no parentheses or parameters after the function name because you're assigning a reference to the function rather than actually calling it. Alternatively, instead of giving a function name, you can use the JavaScript technique of defining functions on the fly called anonymous functions. I was thinking of asynchronous because Ajax stuff, but no, anonymous functions to define the actions that will process the response like this. HTTP request onReady state change function blah process the server response here. Fascinating. I feel like we would be using a specific one. Kind of like generate user. That sort of seems like something we just throw in. I don't think we'll need to have a blank one. Continuing on though, next, after declaring what happens when you receive the response, you'll need to actually make the request by calling the open and send methods of the HTTP request like this. HTTP open get. Oh, I bet this is where the thing goes. This one. Random user.me API. I think. I'm not sure. I want to say yes. Maybe. When a button is clicked, you'll use the specified method for getting the blank. I still think that's the one that goes in over here, but even if it's not, true, and then send. The first parameter of the call to open is the HTTP request method get post head or other methods supported by your server. Keep the method all capitals. Is this related, all the capitals related to the button that we have in all caps? Maybe not. I think I'm insane. I'm probably insane. Little Kitty agrees. She's shaking her head. And she's sitting on the keyboard. I didn't even notice. No, 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 no. All wrong. Let me turn you. Tiny cat. Turn you. Why? Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Continuing on with terrible story time. Stop reaching for the shift key. Oh. Okay. Something about blank, blank, blank. Process server response here after declaring this. Open and send. First parameter to call. Open is blah. Get post head or another method supported by the server. Keep all methods, all caps as per the standard. Otherwise, some browsers like Firefox will not process it. For more, check out this. Okay, heavy skimming, right. Second parameter URL you're sending a security feature. Permission denied. Domain nonsense. Not interested. Optional third parameter. We're not interested in optional third. Oh, they're discussing all of this noise. Right. So the second parameter is the URL you're sending the request to. As a security feature, you can't call URLs on the third-party domains by default. Be sure to use the exact domain name on all your pages, or you will get a permission denied error when you open. Cool. Common pitfall is accessing your site by domain.tld, but attempting to call pages with www.domain.tld. If you really want to send... Okay, cool. Anyways, the parameter send method can be any data you want to send to the server if posting the request. Form data should be sent in a format that the server can parse, like a query string. Name, value, another name, plus encode URI component. I remember this phrase, and it makes me sad because I don't fully recall why it's disappointing. This is an omen of confusion from my past. That's what that is. My variable, and so on. Or other formats like multi-part form data, JSON XML, so on. God, this is terribly painful. Note that if you want to post data, that the MIME type of the request for use following before. I don't think I have a preference. Request, set request header, content type, application blankety blankety blah. Okay. Handling the server response, step 2. We made it through step 1. We didn't set anything up. We should set something up. Oh, I have no idea where this goes. Copy. We're just going to pretend everything's great. We've got this function. We should probably have our function set up above before the request. That kind of makes sense. Copy. Generate user. Terrible. HTTP request dot on ready state change. Oh, well, we already have that bit. Open, right. This is going to be tragic. We want it to get something. Can't help but notice they're using single quotes. I don't know if that's really critical, crucial. We'll find out. Monkey see, monkey do. Get something. And Okay, there's that. I'm not entirely certain this is exactly what I need. But... wait a tick. No. Copy. You don't want to copy that. We just want to type it out. HTTPS. Can't forget that. The thing was copying the link. That's gonna take us to a site versus that specific link. That makes sense? No? Sure it does. Random. Oh, no, I'm crazy. It just auto underlines them. Steven's crazy. Steven's crazy. API. Okay. That's as good as that's gonna get for now. Followed by what? We're typing into the abyss. Dot send. Okay. Step 1 down. Here come the tiers. So set request header. That's for sending data. Yeah. We aren't sending anything. We're just receiving, I think. Pretty sure that's what's happening. So step 2, go ahead and save just in case. Step 2 of this really strange story time. Handling the server response. When you set the request, you provide the name of a JavaScript function to handle the response. HTTP request on ready state change, name of the function. Generate user. What should this function do? First, the function needs to check the request state. If the state has the value of XML HTTP request.done corresponding to 4, where the f is a 4? Corresponding to, raise your hand if you see a 4. Oh, down here. Complete. Okay, so dot done corresponding to blah. We'll get there. That means the full server response was received and it's okay for you to continue processing. So if HTTP dot ready state equals blankety blank done, everything is good, the response was received, something should happen, else it's not ready. And that's a failsafe, I'd assume. We're probably going to need to drag an if over and do something. So the full list of ready state values is documented at XML HTTP request.readystate and is as follows: 0 uninitialized or request not initialized, 1 loading, server connection established, 2 loaded or request received, 3 interactive or processing request, and 4 complete, request finished, and response is ready. Okay, that's here. Well, we'll click on the source because we can. Oh, here's the source. Fascinating. Ah, very good, good, good. Okay, so that's great. Yay, sources. Close out of that. So next, check the response code of the HTTP response. Possible codes are listed at W3C. Another tab to open. In the following example, we differentiate between a successful and unsuccessful Ajax call by checking for a 200 OK response code. Open link. W3 status codes. 10.2.6205 reset content and 0.2.7206 partial content. Well, this seems equally fascinating and just well beyond soul crushing, so we're going to save that story for another day to read. HTTP response status codes, we're looking for 200 OK. So there's a handful of information responses. Continue, switching protocol and processing. I wonder what the red is. Upgrade. I don't think those two red fonts are correlated. Probably just insane. Successful responses, 200 OK. The request has succeeded. Good enough for me. Created, accepted, non-authoritative. And then redirection messages, 300. Is this where we get a 400? A 404? Link not found. Hey, look at that. So that's what that's tied to. Interesting. So that's where all these different messages come from. Okay. Good to know. One mystery solved. Many more to go. That's where 404s come from. They don't come from storks. They come from failed server requests. Interesting. Good to know. Glad we clicked on the link. Okay. So, we would be setting up the following for... Now, are these separate? Or these are optional? HTTP request ready state is equivalent when that's done. Everything's good. Something should happen, else this. Next, check the response code of the HTTP response. Possible codes are listed blank in the following example. We differentiate between successful and unsuccessful Ajax calls by calling for 200 OK response. So if the request status equals 200, perfect. Else there was a problem. So do I keep nesting these if statements within each other? Maybe I do. Well, let's... Step 3 kind of looks friendly, because we've got a button. This looks helpful and nice, so let's keep marching towards this part of the neighborhood. Yeah, there was a problem. For example, the response may have a 404, not found, and now we know, or 500 internal server error. Response code. After checking the state of the request in the HTTP status code of the response, you can do whatever you want with the data the server sent. You have two options to access that data. HTTP request response text turns the server response as a string of text, or HTTP request response XML returns the response as an XML document object you can traverse with JavaScript DOM functions. I feel like this is maybe what we're gonna want to do. Not 100% sure yet. Let's keep going. What's that, tiny cat? Okay, you're good. You're good. Note that the steps above are valid only if you use asynchronous request, the third-party parameter of open was unspecified or set to true. If you use a synchronous request, you don't need to specify a function. This is highly discouraged as it makes for an awful user experience. I feel like this note section should be in yellow, like so. I'm gonna read it once more, because all that did was make me very concerned. So, they're referring to the open, right? Maybe I'm crazy. Steven's missing a dot or two that need to be connected. Once more, though, note that the steps above are valid only if you use an asynchronous request. The third-party parameter of open was unspecified or set to true, which we've got both. We're using open and it's set to true. If you used a synchronous request, you don't need to specify function, but this is highly discouraged. Okay, so we are going the better route, it seems like, by doing this. At least that's how it seems so far. Step 3, a simple example. Thank God. Hopefully they aren't lying to us. Let's put it all together with a simple HTTP request. Our JavaScript will request an HTML document, test.html, which contains the text, "I'm a test." Then we'll alert the contents of the response. Note that this example uses vanilla JavaScript. No jQuery is involved. Also, the HTML, XML, and PHP files should be placed in the same directory. That explains why all of this noise kind of looks scary. So everything's happening all at once. Right? Also, the HTML, XML, PHP files should be placed in the same directory. Well, that's at least for all of this noise. I guess separate JavaScript is probably fine. Moving on. Button ID Ajax button. Type button. Make a request. Closing button. We have a couple different ones. Button type XHR, which I believe will be this first one. Button type fetch, Axios, and jQuery. So we'll pretend to prepare it for the first one. Button type and name, right? Oh, well, they've got ID and type. We may need to add ID. So we've got ID for all of our divs. Even the buttons div has an ID, but the buttons themselves don't, which we can totally add. We'll do that in a moment. So, continuing on, script, function, variable, HTTP request. Oh, we don't have a variable for that. Document, get element by ID, Ajax button, add event listener, click, make request. We've got the make request. Is that an actual thing? Oh, that's the function. Click, and that's what happens. So, yeah, cool. Okay. Damn, maybe I need a second one. So there's make a request. Alert contents. Maybe the change occurs down here. Let's keep looking at this line by line. And then I'll reflect on what I currently have. Script, function, variable, HTTP request, document, get element by ID, Ajax button, add event listener, click, make request, function, make request. HTTP request, this guy, equals new XML HTTP request. If not HTTP request, this alert giving up cannot create an XML HTTP instance. Return it as false. HTTP request on state. Okay, so there's no. They didn't explicitly write out else, but this is the else section. So if that happens, it's a very sad day. If not, everything's golden. The sun rises, the world keeps on spinning, and the HTTP request on ready state change will equal alert contents. From there, we have HTTP request dot open set to get, and for the link, or where we set up whatever link we're referencing, And then we have the send. And that closes out. Cool. Just an empty function JavaScriptiness in general. Oh, look at this. This is, and we didn't set it up for the last, I think the last two projects. No, just the last project. I think. Yeah, it was just the last project that we didn't do it for. We should probably do it for this one. The function. God, I'm drawing a blank on its name. It's like immediate something. It's a type in it. It's this. It's just a generic anonymous function. I think that's the term. But then it has the extra parentheses afterward. So this is a whole, everything lives within inside of this function, which I think we're going to do because we can. Copy that, and here's this. Copy. I know it's not essential, but I forget. I could have sworn there was maybe a benefit or something. Either way, it's at least part of this example. So monkey see, monkey do. And we're gonna keep chipping away at that. And we can clearly see that we're gonna have to doctor stuff. Right. But before we start changing our code, we made it through this. We said we'd look through it line by line and then worry about our code. So there's the open, there's the send. That function closes out. And then we've got our next function alert contents. If http request.ready state equals done. Okay, see, it is nested ifs. It sounded like they were nesting ifs one after another. They had this set up. If everything's good, then do stuff. Then they had this example. Even though they weren't shown nested in each other, it certainly seemed like that's how it was going to end up. So our spidey sense was right. So we're nesting the ifs. If ready state done. If request status is 200. That's interesting. They just have 200 here instead of, well, they've got 200 there as well. See, here they said check for 200 okay in the link. And even at on the page, it's 200 okay. Wonder why it's just 200. Either way, 200. Alert HTTP request response text. Now we could do text, but they mentioned there's the difference between the two. String versus the XML document objects that we can do JavaScript DOM things with. I don't know what's going to be better for our personal situation, as we're trying to generate random user data like so with each one, but we'll cross that bridge after we set everything up. Where do we go? Story time. Alert else. See, and that's strange too. They don't explicitly write else up here, but if blah, and then if it fails, else this. Maybe it's not really an else type situation. Either way, else, alert, there was a problem with the request, and then everything closes out. So, hey, Graysol. That's just a function. Oh, okay, the immediate one. I'm still drawing a blank on its name. That's just a function that's executed right away. It's for namespacing. Interesting. So all variables are local to that function instead of global scope. Right. I remember Topher went into more detail surrounding that issue, yeah, I had a flock of global variables that we were trying to eliminate or cut down upon. We were trying to make it more efficient. But anyways, in the notes for one of the projects, he went over this. And okay, so that short story is it gets rid of the global variables by containing them. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you for that, Graysol. Well, this doesn't seem anywhere near as scary as I thought the Ajax request would be. That's slightly comforting. Oh, maybe I jumped the gun. I thought a simple example for 3 was just going to be over here with the example, but it's not. It keeps going on. I should probably finish out reading step 3 before modifying my stuff. There's going to be like 95 iterations to this, and I'm going to have to keep updating it with each one, and it's just going to get messy and sad. We'll keep reading. Ugh. Continuing on with story time. Brace yourselves. Okay. In this example, user clicks the make request button. The event handler calls the make request function. This request is made, and then on ready state changes. The execution is passed to alert contents. Then alert contents checks for the response. Checks if the response was okay, and then alerts the contents of test.html file. 3 important notes. Note 1. If you're sending a request to a piece of code that will return XML rather than a static XML file, you must set response headers to work in Internet Explorer. If you don't set header, content type, application XML, Internet Explorer will throw a JavaScript object expected error after the line where you tried to access an XML element. Noted. Note 2. If you don't set a header for cache control, no cache, the browser will cache the response and never resubmit the request, making debugging challenging. Okay, another pro tip noted. You can also add an always different get parameter. Always different get parameter, like a timestamp or random number, bypassing the cache. I guess that's another thing to help debug. Probably. Cross between compatible approach bypassing. Appending a timestamp to the URL. Be sure to include a blank or blank as appropriate. Get time, null. Sure, well, noted. We'll just keep that in mind in case we run into that issue. Close out of that. Close out of the... should we read this? Get the sources fetched, head the entity, post. Okay, yeah, not interested in that. Continuing on with note 3. If the HTTP request variable is used globally, competing functions calling make requests can overwrite each other, causing a race condition, declaring the HTTP request variable local to a closure containing the closure containing the Ajax function avoids this. Oh, probably similar to what we were just discussing, putting it within just another generic function or containing the scope of it. Noted. A closure is the combination of a function and the Lexel environment within which that function was declared. Hey, function... oh, no, function init. Slightly different, but close enough. What's that, tiny cat? Question? No, you're good. Look at your toes. I'm holding, like, half of your feet right now. Isn't that interesting? You're asleep. She doesn't even know what's going on. Something about the following. So, in the event of the No. Declaring the HTTP... So many letters. Declaring the HTTP request variable local to closure containing the Ajax function avoids this. Good. Declaring the HTTP request variable. Yeah, exactly what we were talking about. Containing the scope. Noted. Critical. In the event of the communication error, such as the server going down. We're starting to lose it. What time is it? 12:50. Death. Marching ahead, Stephen. Never stop, never surrender. Such as server. We're gonna get through it. Ninth time's a charm. Such as the server going down. An exception will be thrown in the onReady state change method when accessing the response status. To mitigate this problem, you could wrap the if-then statement in a try-catch. I would like to note I've never encountered try-catch. This is an entirely new thing after 311 days. Most content we've come across, even as new as Ajax stuff is, our lack of understanding, we've still encountered it before, but try-catch is legitimate new ground. We haven't come across, like, new ground in quite a while. So, try-catch function, alert contents. Try if blankety blank HTTP request ready state equals request.done, nested if request status equals 200, alert request response text, else alert there was a problem with the request, catch E. So after all of that noise, it will catch E, alert caught exception plus E description. I guess that prints like an error or something. Gotta be an error. Okay. Step 4. Working with the XML response. Alright. Graysol, definitely read the examples. You've never seen try-cat? No, I haven't. None of the examples at Code Academy or challenges. I mean, I can't imagine there would be an issue or a challenge at Code Wars, at least in the JavaScript section, that would really require a try-catch scenario. But Free Code Camp didn't cover try-catch in their, at least front-end web development. Now, we only made it 85% of the way through, but we got pretty deep into the initial certificate from Free Code Camp. But anyways, so you've never seen try-catch, Graysol. To be honest, the way you're learning is super inefficient. Very true. Yeah, no, definitely. This is far from ideal. That is definitely not an unknown thing. If I was, again, this is more of an exploratory, just streaming for the sake of streaming, and it's just kind of focused around learning to code. More like experiencing programming. I wouldn't, if I was trying to learn something or master something quickly, I wouldn't start trying to learn it at midnight after a full day. It's just, my mind is already shot, and yeah, how we're going about stuff, is beyond questionable. But anywho, it's more of the year-long goal of trying to stream for the year and trying to code every single day for the year. Just whatever learning may occur as we go about this process, that's what happens. The other thing is that, like this, reading, I don't want to just read these documents on stream. This is the kind of stuff that I want to do off stream, but I haven't done any learning off stream. All the learning in progress that has occurred this year related to the stream has happened live. So it's a very odd situation that I ended up in, that I kind of constructed for myself. We didn't really have a structure, but this is what it morphed into after however many weeks and months and days and whatnot. So yeah, anywho, but it's also to kind of gain insight on the learning process. I mean, I also don't mind the learning process. I liked seeing the even though it definitely wasn't perfect, it had its quirks. Code Academy sites, which they have, I think, addressed and updated a lot of stuff. They did again a pretty big update this summer, just a couple weeks ago or months ago now. But seeing how they go about teaching and what they focus on versus what Free Code Camp, how they've got their learning path structured, what they focus on instructionally, how they go about teaching things or kind of hinting at stuff and things like that. Even compared to Code Wars, which isn't really like a tutorial site to teach you, but just from challenges where the low level challenges start and just seeing kind of the skill level, since that's community driven, as that progresses, the kind of challenges, things they find interesting, just all that sort of stuff I sort of find fascinating. So it definitely didn't like there's more here that I've experienced than just learning to code or learning programming, but that we'll save that tangent for later. Anywho, continuing on. Graysall, you could have learned all the language constructs in like 2 weeks if you use good sources. Yeah, definitely. That was another thing is I wanted to see kind of at the end is how far and how much progress someone could make. Basically, if they were doing everything, not necessarily wrong, but far from really efficient, like basically as inefficient as possible. Me, a lot of repeat stuff, a lot of just mostly beginner level content, whether it's phenomenal sources or terrible sources, just coming in unknown with no real idea of which direction to go. That way I can kind of like mark, and if I can work with those sites and let them know what's happening, or as an example to others, how far you can make it just doing it daily, even if you have no idea what you're doing. Because that's the other thing, if anyone else were to go to learn how to code for every single day for a year, they would make it so much further than I did even in just 2 months than probably I did in 9 months. So but anyways, that's part of the whole learning process experience that I've been going through. All the additional stuff that's secondary to just the literal streaming and learning to code. But continuing on, a couple more comments. Code Academy, terrible website. Well, it's unique. It's definitely not for the higher level learning. Even after it's been over 9 months. We're still on our no, it's been over 10 months. We're on our way through 11. It's still a really good site to go from square one or square zero, whatever you want to call it, to at least like learn how to read the code. And those couple basic activities, there's definitely no need for anyone to go through the entire site like I did. It would be far more beneficial to use the site as they intend, which it's set up that way. To just do the couple courses you need. If you want to learn HTML and CSS and the intro to JavaScript, like that, it's perfect for that. It teaches you the basics. What is HTML? How does it work? That's perfect. And then you can start to read the documents. Like, what's that, little cat? the documents here on MDN, because there's no way in hell if I were to just come to MDN and just crack open a document, even as straightforward and as beautifully detailed as their guides are, you don't really know what's going on. It's hard to start from zero and dive into this. So Code Academy at least has perfected those first couple steps. So I do like the site for that. Graysol, it's meant to be flashy and easy, not actually meant to teach you. Yeah, again, that highlights it. It's just to get the ball rolling, but they're good at getting the ball rolling. You should do a video course, to be honest. Potentially, maybe afterwards. We've got a crap ton of perspective on the learning process for learning how to program. Graysol, yeah, sure. It just seems a bit silly to me because it's always better for you personally to have a higher skill level. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, as a tangible skill, this is kind of a ridiculous thing. It'd be, although I'm sure there are those people that do it, but I would equate it to like learning to become a blacksmith in your free time just because you like making things. I feel like that's kind of a skill set where it's so specific and requires so much time and effort that you should probably be doing something as a blacksmith more than just like killing time on a Sunday. So learning to become, learning programming, or no one's spending their, God, what is it, Tuesday? Oh no, well, okay, Tuesday at midnight. Now it's Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, 1:01 a.m. Learning to do API request calls, that's not your average, let's just hang out on a Tuesday at midnight and kill time and learn how to do this. That's like a skill, it's basically a trade that you can actually go out and earn a living with. So yeah, it's kind of odd, but our journey started with trying to just stream for a year, and see if we could code every single day. So it was a very odd beginning. But nevertheless, continuing on, that was one hell of a tangent. Not sure if that was good or bad, but nevertheless, at least we got to reflect a bit. What are we doing? Step 4. In the previous example, after receiving the response, we're close to the end, right? Yes. Close-ish enough. Step 4. In the previous example, after receiving the response to the HTTP request, we use the request object's response text property, which contained the contents of the test.html file. Now let's try the response XML property. Okay, so this is really like 3B. This is the other side of the coin. First off, let's create a valid XML document that will request later on. The document test.xml contains the following: XML version 1.0 question mark root I'm a test. In the script, we only need to change the request line to on click make request test.xml. Compared to what? Compared to 3 on click. I think I'm crazy. I thought it was somewhere around here. Must be all in my head. Anyways, continuing on click, make request, test.xml. Then, in alert content, we need to replace the line alert HTTP request dot response text with variable XML doc equals HTTP request dot response XML variable root node XML dot get element by tag name root Item 0. Okay, so we're pulling the whole damn tag. Item 0. I wonder if that's specifically this or referencing something else. See the node bit, but that's just the variable name. Probably that. It's probably 0. I think that's what item 0 is. Alert root node first child, sounds right, dot data. This code takes XML document object given by response XML and uses DOM methods to accept some of the data contained in the XML document. You can see the test.xml here and the updated test script here. Okay, XML file doesn't appear to have any style information associated with it. Document tree is shown. Root test and make a request. Click. Oh, you guys can't see the pop-up window, but there's a window right below the web address. Yeah, the box spans from like here. That's like half of the box, equidistant, but there's a box. www.w3clubs.com says, I'm a test. That you are. Okay. Let's double check. Yep, works. Window pops up, or the alert pops up and goes away. Very cool. Close out of that. Close out of this. That was the test for that, and we are on to step 5. So close. Last step, and then we get to finally change our initial setup stuff. So, hey, Topher. Back again. Topher, I fell asleep and woke up 8 times during that tangent. Yeah, my bad. Ask and you shall receive, or really comment and you shall receive, whether you like it or not, but yeah, good. Continuing on with step 5. It's been a long journey. I've got 11 months worth of yammering bottled up inside me. We're working on hacking that tangent down. It was like 9 or 11 comments. Graysol was firing on all cylinders. He perfectly placed conversational stepping stones, and it just kind of snowballed into that behemoth of a rant. Anyways, step 5, working with data. Finally, let's send some data to the server and receive a response. Oh, what if we don't need to send stuff? We're going to do it anyways. Finally, let's send some data to the server and receive a response. Our JavaScript will request a dynamic page this time, test.php, which will take the data we send and return a computed string, hello user data, which will alert. First, we'll add a text box to our HTML so the user can enter their name. See, I know we aren't going to need this, but because we made it all the way through the first 4 sections, I can't leave the last portion of the document unread. So, yeah, this is happening. This is happening. Label, your name, input, text, ID, Ajax text box, and a label, span, ID, Ajax text, style cursor, pointer, text declaration, underline, make request. We'll also add a line to our event handler to get the user data from the text box and send it to make request function along with the URL of our server-side script document.getHTML by ID Ajax button on click function variable username document get element by ID Ajax text box dot value make a request test.php user. Hey, wait a second. I understand literally everything in this box. And even here. This is comforting to me. But Do I need to send data? I don't know. Let's keep reading. We need to modify make request to accept the user data and pass it along to the server. We are doing create a random user. Pass it along to the server. We'll change the request method from get to post and include our data as a parameter in the call to http request.send. Function make request URL and username. Maybe this is what we want. It kind of seems exactly like what, right? Left? I'm not sure. Let's keep reading. Function make request URL username, blah 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 blah. HTTP request on ready state change alert contents. Request open post URL. Request set request header content type. Application blankety blank forum HTTP request send username equals plus encode URI component username. Maybe this is what we want. Random user API. Oh, no. We already have it open. Random user API. Gender, title, location, email, name, user API. Well, copy. Is that a thing? Is this like a actual site? That's that. Okay. Well, close. Continuing on. So, encode URI component username. The function alert contents can be written the same way it was in step 3 to alert our computed string if that's all the server returns. However, let's say the server is going to return both the computed string and the original user data. So if the user typed Jane in the text box, the server response would look like this. User data Jane, computed string, hi Jane. Oh. To use this data with alert contents, we can't just alert the response text. We have to parse it and alert computed string, the property we want. Okay. So close to the end. We can see it. We can see it. Functional alert contents if HTTP request ready state. HTTP request done. Nested if request status equals 200. Variable response equals JSON.parse. Request.text response. Alert response computed string. Else there was no problem. There was a problem with the request. Blankety blankety blah. The test PHP file should contain the following: name is set, post username no, name computed string hi, name array username name computed string echo JSON encode array. For more on DOM methods, be sure to check Mozilla's DOM implementation documents. Wow. Well, that was a lot. After reading it all, at least the examples seem to make sense. My concern is cutting out and replacing the bits of the example with my code. I mean, it's not too terribly difficult or odd. You know, swapping out generic function names and whatnot, and tags for the ones in my code should be fine. But is that really all there is to it? Okay. Topher, that is walking you through how to send data to a server and receive a response back. You just want to get something from a server without sending any information. Figured. Alert contents function is gold. You can adapt that for your own code. Interesting. Yeah, see this seems good. All of it seems awesome. Function alert contents. Blankety blankety blah. Because even though this is for hosting, sending data still seems like an awesome way, or at least a good way to set up our code regardless. Not that we have to do all the PHP stuff, but we can at least keep all the JavaScript-y goodness and doctor it for our own. Alright, so, dear God, I think at a minimum, we should do the following. Document on click. We already have this. I don't think we necessarily need to change that. Or change this stuff. What do we need or want to do? I just want to at least make a basic... I mean, after reading all of that, I want to go to sleep. It's been an hour and 15 minutes of stumbling through that and multiple tangents. My mind is fried, but I need to make a little bit of progress. Maybe at a minimum, just steal this for now. I want to type it out, but the thing is that it's going to be basically exactly the same. We're going to need when ready state is done, we're going to need when status is 200, and we're going to need when response, and we're going to parse stuff and have request response text and do all of this, and then alert computed string. Like all of this noise is going to be coming over anyway. So retyping it doesn't really seem like the best use of time, but I think that's just what we're going to stick with for now. So fingers crossed, here we go. We're just going to leave that noise. We're going to leave that noise. Function plus typing it out will be good practice. Alert contents. Like so. If... Oh wow, it just throws in true out of the gates. Kinda cool. HTTP request dot ready date 123 XML HTTP request dot done if request dot status Topher, I've got to get up for work in 3 hours. Dear God, yeah. Go to need to sleep, man. Good luck to you. Thank you. Yeah, we're just gonna fill out this noise now that we read through all of this goodness. We're gonna come at it with hopefully a clean slate tomorrow. Well, not a clean slate, but refreshed and ready to go. So we're just laying the groundwork for this bit, and then we're gonna call it quits. So thank you again for all that you've done. Enjoy your sleep. We will see you around. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so finishing out this bit. Status equals 123 200 variable response Jason dot parse. Hope this is kosher. HTTP request dot response text alert response dot computed ring. Way cool. Followed by else. That's so cool. Oh, Adam's great. It's just editors in general are awesome with all their additional autocomplete functionality. Alert. There was a problem with your... No, with the request. Okay. Good times. Good times. Let's drop a semicolon after that. And we're just gonna call it quits and save for now. I kind of scary and sad to look at, but that's just what we're gonna leave it with for now. We'll do some cleanup tomorrow. Really a good start point would be the simple example. This is basically everything, you know, this is the exact same alert contents right there. So just sort of adjusting the noise above it will also work, but again, we'll save that nightmare for another day. I think we've endured enough hell for one evening. With that said, let's close out of this, close out of that. Save. And let's push this noise to GitHub. Oh no, I'm crazy. Hold on. Tangent, misclicking, misclicks. La da 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 dee dee dee, la da 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 dee 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 dee, GitHub, ba doo doo doo, dee 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 dee. Awesome. Okay. That was a lot of learning about Ajax. Oh, little kitty pushing things off the desk. You're all kinds of special in just the worst way possible. What did we add? Well, we added alert content, really. That added function alert contents. See? Hope that's okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Commit and push Close. Beautiful, beautiful. We can block that out, make that full screen again. Okay. Everything's mostly goodish. Diving into OBS. Day 311 comes to an end. Thank you again to anyone and everyone who stopped by to view the stream. Today we had Topher Gates and Graysol. Also anyone else who may have accidentally stumbled in here. Thank you very much. Any and all views are greatly, greatly appreciated. Day 300, yeah, right? It is day 311? It's day 311. Can't tell. Even though day 311 comes to an end, the adventure continues tomorrow with day 312 of the year of streaming and learning to code. In the meantime, are you sure you want to stop the stream? Hell yeah. Kill it!